Caleb Hargrove arrived in the small frontier town just as the afternoon sun began to sink. Behind the dusty buildings, he had been riding for hours, guiding his tired horse along a quiet road that stretched between open fields and dry hills. Caleb was a calm man, the type who preferred silence over noise, and long trails over crowded places. He only stopped in towns when he had to rest or buy supplies. Today was one of those days, and he hoped to make his visit quick. As he tied his horse near the old wooden post outside the general store, he noticed a crowd gathered in the center of town. People were talking loudly, pointing toward a small platform where several travelers stood with signs hanging around there. Next, Caleb recognized the event. Once a week the town held a work placement market, where newcomers or stranded travelers could be matched with people who needed temporary help on farms, ranches, or shops. The system was meant to support people who had no money or resources, but it often treated them unfairly. Caleb did not like the idea and always tried to avoid it. Still, something felt different today. The mood seemed heavier, more uncomfortable. Even the air felt still. Caleb could sense that many people were not there to help but only to watch. He was about to ignore the scene and walk into the store when he saw her. A young native girl, maybe 16 or 17, stood on the platform. Her chin lifted, her back straight, and her eyes sharp with determination. She looked strong and proud, even in a setting that was clearly not of her choosing. She wore simple clothes, dusty from travel, and her long dark hair hung loose over her shoulders. Her name, written on the small wooden sign around her neck, was Ayanna. Caleb paused. Most people on that platform looked tired or defeated, but not her. She stood like a person who refused to lose her dignity, even when life pushed her into unfair situations. The man running the event, a loud-talking trader named Merrill, clapped his hands and called out, "Next helper. Young, strong, and can assist with basic chores. Who wants to offer a placement?" Caleb saw Ayanna's eyes narrow. She did not look at the crowd with fear, she looked at them with challenge. It was clear she did not want to be there. Perhaps she had become separated from her group or lost her way during travel, and someone had sent her here thinking it would help her. But it was obvious she disagreed. Merrill called again, joking with the crowd like it was entertainment. Caleb felt uneasy. He glanced around. Most people were smiling casually, unaware that the girl on the platform was upset. Caleb stayed back, unsure whether to step in. Ayanna crossed her arms. She did not speak, but her expression said enough. She would not pretend to be comfortable. She would not pretend she accepted this place or this moment. Bid small offers of coins or work exchanges started to appear from the townspeople. Some offered a little food, some offered a small amount of money, others offered shelter in exchange for work, but none offered respect. None offered help with understanding her situation, or help finding her family or tribe. Caleb listened quietly, uncomfortable with every passing minute. Then someone in the crowd laughed and shouted, "$2? That's all she'll get from me." The crowd responded with more laughter. Caleb's chest tightened. $2. It was not much, but it was enough to remove her from this place and at least speak with her away from the crowd. Enough to give her a chance to explain what she wanted. Enough to make sure she was not sent to someone who didn't care about her wishes. Without fully thinking about it, Caleb raised his hand. $2, he said in a steady voice. The laughter faded. People turned. They knew Caleb. He was the quiet cowboy who rarely got involved in anything that wasn't his problem. For him to speak up was unusual. Ayanna's eyes locked onto his. For a moment, Caleb expected gratitude, or at least curiosity. Instead, her expression sharpened even further. She stepped forward and said clearly, her voice cutting through the chatter, "You will regret this." "I will not obey," the crowd gasped. Some people laughed again, entertained by her boldness. But Caleb didn't laugh. Her words were not rude, they were honest. Honest about her fear, her frustration, her refusal to be treated like a thing instead of a person with her own choices. Caleb nodded once, as if acknowledging her statement instead of being upset by it. Then he handed the $2 to Merrill, who grinned, happy for the sale. Ayanna stepped off the platform without waiting for approval. She did not walk toward Caleb, she walked past him, stopping only when she reached the edge of the dusty road. She stared at the horizon, her arms stiff by her sides. Caleb approached slowly, leaving a respectful distance between them. "I'm not here to give you orders," he said quietly. "You don't have to obey anyone." Ayanna did not look at him. "Then why did you pay?" "To get you away from this place," he answered. "At least until you tell me where you wanted to go." She turned then, just enough to meet his eyes. Her gaze was sharp, searching his face for any sign of dishonesty. Caleb stayed still, letting her look. He wanted her to understand he meant no harm. "You expect me to trust you," she said. "No." Caleb replied, "You don't have to trust me, but I can help you find your way home, or wherever you choose to go." Ayanna looked away again. She did not walk toward him, but she also did not walk away. That was something. Caleb sensed she was confused, unsure whether to believe him. The market had treated her like she had no voice. Caleb wanted her to have won again. After several long moments, she spoke, her tone softer but still firm. "I do not belong here. This town is not my place." "I know," Caleb said. "You will not tell me what to do," she added. "I won't," he promised. She studied him again, still cautious. "Where are you going?" "North," Caleb replied. "Through the plains, then toward the foothills." Ayanna thought for a moment. "There are paths there," she said quietly. "Paths that lead toward my people's land." Caleb nodded. "Then I'll take you that way." Her eyes widened slightly, not in fear, not in anger, but in surprise. She had not expected him to agree so easily. She had not expected him to listen. People rarely listened to her today. "Fine," she said finally. "But I walk on my own, and I leave when I choose." "That's fair," Caleb said. They began walking, not side by side, but with enough space for Ayanna to feel she was moving by her own decision. Caleb kept his distance and matched her pace. As they passed through the edge of town, some people called after them with jokes or curious questions, but neither of them responded. The sun dipped lower, turning the sky a warm orange. The road ahead stretched far, quiet and open. Ayanna's steps remained steady. She did not look at Caleb, but she also did not look back at the town. She was leaving something behind, something unwanted, and stepping towards something uncertain but free. Caleb did not know what the journey would bring, but he knew one thing clearly. He would not let her face it alone unless she chose otherwise. And though Ayanna refused to show it, there was a small spark of relief in her eyes as they walked away from the noise and toward the wide land beyond. Ayanna and Caleb walked along the quiet road as the early evening light settled around them. The sky slowly turned from orange to purple, and a gentle wind moved across the grass. Ayanna walked ahead, her steps steady, her eyes watching the path as if she already knew the land better than anyone. Caleb followed behind at a comfortable distance, giving her space. He did not speak unless she started the conversation first. He knew trust could not be rushed. After a long while, Ayanna slowed down. She did not stop, but her pace relaxed enough for Caleb to walk beside her, not close, just near enough to speak without raising his voice. She noticed him, but said nothing. Still, she did not move away from him. That small change told Caleb she was thinking, perhaps even reconsidering how she saw him. As the light faded, they reached a small field where the grass grew tall and soft. Ayanna finally spoke. "We cannot walk in the dark," she said gently. "There are holes in the ground. Someone could fall." Caleb nodded. "You're right. We could rest here for tonight." Ayanna placed her small travel bundle on the ground. Caleb took off his coat and set it near her, not too close, but close enough for her to use if she wanted warmth. She glanced at it and then at him. "You can use it," he said, stepping away. "The nights get cold in this area." She hesitated before finally sitting down beside the coat. She did not put it around her shoulders, but she kept it near, as if she accepted the gesture without fully trusting it yet. Caleb sat a few steps away, leaning back against a tree. For a few minutes, the only sound was the wind brushing the grass. Ayanna broke the silence. "Why were you in that town today?" "Supplies," Caleb said simply. "I travel often." "Do you travel alone?" "Yes." Ayana looked up at the stars beginning to appear one by one. I also travel with few people, she said softly. I was with my relatives, but the crowd in the trading post confused us. I lost sight of them. When I asked someone for direction, they took me to that market instead. She lowered her eyes. They thought they were helping, but they did not listen to me. Caleb listened carefully. He had expected something like this, but hearing it directly from her made everything more real. I'm sorry, he said quietly. That must have been frightening. Ayana shook her head. Not frightening, only frustrating. How can someone help you if they do not hear your voice? Caleb nodded slowly. You're right, listening matters more than talking. Ayana glanced at him again, studying his face. She seemed to be deciding something. After a moment, she said, You listen more than others. I try to, Caleb said. They did not speak for a long time after that. Ayana lay down on the grass with Caleb's coat under her head. Like a pillow, she looked up at the night sky, her eyes slowly closing. Caleb stayed awake for a while, watching the stars too. He felt peaceful in a way he had not felt in a long time. Morning came softly, with birds singing and a warm golden light rising over the hills. Ayana sat up, folding the coat neatly and handing it back to Caleb without a word. He thanked her, and she simply nodded. They began walking again, the air fresh and clear. As the day went on, Ayana started pointing out things along the path, small plants that could be used for tea, stones that marked old travel routes, and trails left by deer. Caleb realized she was guiding them not just by memory, but by understanding the land itself. He admired her knowledge, but did not say so aloud. She was proud, and he sensed she did not want praise, only respect. Around midday, as they crossed a wide plain, Ayana asked, Why did you choose to help me when you did not know me? Caleb thought for a moment. Sometimes you don't need to know a person to see they need someone to stand by them, he answered. And you looked like someone who deserved better than the situation you were placed in. Ayana walked in silence, letting his words settle. She seemed calmer now, more open. The uncertainty from the previous day had softened. You still did not ask me to obey you, she said quietly. Because it is not my place, Caleb replied. Everyone should choose their own path. Ayana looked ahead, her eyes thoughtful. Many people do not think like that. Caleb smiled gently. Maybe not, but I do. By afternoon, the land changed from open plains to small clusters of trees. Ayana seemed to recognize the area, and her pace quickened. Caleb could almost feel her hope growing. We are getting close, he asked. Yes, she answered. My people travel in these lands. They follow the seasons. They know these hills well. Caleb nodded. Then we'll find them. As they walked deeper into the wooded area, Ayana began to relax in ways Caleb had not seen before. Her shoulders lowered, her steps became lighter, and her eyes softened. This was her home. Even if her people were not yet in sight, she felt the closeness of familiar land, and it gave her strength. Suddenly she paused and raised her hand. Caleb stopped instantly. Her eyes scanned the distance, and a small smile appeared. I hear voices, she whispered. Gentle ones, people talking. They are from my tribe. Caleb stayed still, letting her take the lead. Ayana stepped forward, her heart beating quickly. The soft voices grew louder. She moved around a cluster of trees, and there across a small clearing stood a group of people packing supplies near a fire site. When they noticed her, they stood in surprise and joy. Ayana's face lit up. She walked faster, and soon she was surrounded by her relatives. They touched her shoulders, held her hands, and asked her where she had been. She answered calmly but with visible happiness. Caleb stood back, watching the reunion from a distance, feeling relieved that she was finally safe. After a few minutes, Ayana turned to look at him. Her people followed her gaze. They saw the quiet cowboy standing there with no claim over her, no control, no demands. Some stepped protectively between them, not out of anger, but caution. Caleb understood and took a small step back, ready to leave. Ayana spoke to her people in soft, steady words, explaining how she had lost her way, how the town misunderstood her, and how Caleb helped her travel home without asking anything in return. Her relatives listened closely. Their expressions softened. They nodded. Ayana walked over to Caleb slowly, her steps calm and confident. "You are leaving," she said. "Yes," Caleb replied. "You're home now. That's what matters." She studied his face again with the same sharp eyes she had used the day they met. But now her expression held warmth. "Thank you," she said simply. Caleb nodded. "You're welcome." Ayana reached into a small pouch at her belt and removed a small carved charm, made from a piece of polished wood shaped like a leaf. She placed it in Caleb's hand. "This is a token of peace," she said softly. "A sign of good paths and safe journeys." Caleb looked at the charm for a long moment. Touched by the gesture, "I'll keep it," he said. "Thank you." Ayana gave him a small smile, gentle, grateful, honest. Caleb turned to his horse and prepared to leave. But before he could, Ayana spoke again. "Caleb," she said. He looked back. "You listened when no one else did," she said. "For that, I will remember you." Caleb held her gaze. "And I'll remember you too." With that, he mounted his horse. Ayana stepped back to stand beside her people. Caleb rode away slowly, not wanting to rush the moment. Ayana watched until he became just a figure in the distance, a quiet cowboy disappearing into the evening light. She finally turned back to her people, her heart steady and full. Her journey had been unexpected, confusing, and sometimes difficult, but it had also shown her something rare: a stranger who respected her choices, her voice, and her freedom. And as Caleb continued down the road, he touched the small wooden charm in his pocket and felt a quiet sense of peace. Some journeys change a person in small but lasting ways. This one had done exactly that.